They welded steel plates onto a tractor and sent it to war. 100 years later, that experiment became a 70-ton Predator equipped with thermal imaging, composite armor, and a cannon that can punch through concrete from 2 miles away. This is the complete evolution of American armor, from muddy World War I fields to digital battlefields. Over a century of innovation, dozens of failed experiments, and the tanks that changed warfare forever. Stay with me because you won't believe how far we've come. World War I in early days, 1917 to 1930. America's first tanks were basically experiments on wheels. CLB-75, a tractor with a metal box welded on top. That's literally what America's first tank looked like. Holt Gas Electric, America's first hybrid tank, running on gas and electric. Too heavy, got stuck in mud constantly. Skeleton tank, made of iron pipes and air. Engineers thought a frame could cross trenches better than solid metal. It didn't work. Ford 3-ton M 1918. Henry Ford wanted to mass-produce cheap tanks like cars. The war ended before he could. M 1917. Light tank, America copied the French Renault FT. Simple, reliable, and became the first mass-produced American tank. Mark 8 Liberty, a massive joint project with Britain. So long it could bridge trenches, so heavy nobody could transport it easily. M 1921 and M 1922. Medium tanks, these introduced rotating turrets and better suspension. They set the template for future tank design. T1 light tank and T1 Christie M 1919. Fast experimental tanks from the 1920s. Walter Christie designed one that could run on tracks or wheels, but the military rejected it as too weird. T2 medium tank. Tried cramming a big gun and machine guns together. Too heavy, too slow, didn't work. But the 1930s changed everything when designers started thinking differently. Interwar period, 1931 to 1940. M 1931. Christie, Walter Christie's masterpiece with revolutionary suspension that let tanks fly over rough ground at incredible speeds. The Soviets loved it and copied the design. M1 Combat Car Series. The cavalry couldn't legally have tanks, so they called them combat cars instead. Fast, lightly armored scouts. M2 Light Tank Series, the ancestor of the famous Stuart. Early versions had multiple turrets stacked up. Later versions got practical. M2 Medium Tank Series, machine guns pointing everywhere. Not great in combat, but taught valuable lessons. Marmon Harrington CTLS, tiny export tanks, cheap, simple, easy to maintain during wartime. Then World War II started, and everything changed. World War II, 1941 to 1945. M3 Stuart Series, fast, reliable, and loved by crews. The British called it honey because it was so sweet to drive. M3 Lee Grant Series. Looked ridiculous with the main gun in the hull instead of the turret. Tall and awkward, but brought desperately needed firepower. M4 Sherman Series. The legend that won the war. Not the best tank, not the most powerful, but reliable, and America built 50,000 of them. That's what mattered. M5 Stuart Series. Upgraded Stuart with twin Cadillac engines. Exceptionally fast and stayed useful throughout the war. M6 Heavy Tank. America's first heavy tank. Massive and well-armed, but too heavy for most bridges. M22 Locust. Tiny tank that could fit in a glider for airborne operations. Cool idea, but armor was paper thin. M24 Chaffee. Huge improvement with a 75mm gun and smooth suspension. Crews loved it. M26 Pershing series. Finally, an American tank that could fight German Tigers equally. Arrived late, but proved its worth. T26E4 Super Pershing. Experimental version with an oversized gun. So heavy it created balance problems. T28/T95 Super Heavy. A moving fortress. Incredibly slow with 4 sets of tracks just to support its weight. T29, T30, T32, T34 heavy tanks. Post-war heavy tank experiments with massive guns. Never saw combat but influenced Cold War designs. The war ended, but the Cold War brought new challenges. Early Cold War and Korea, 1946 to 1960. M26 Patton Series, first tank named after General Patton. Improved Pershing with better engine. Served as America's main tank during Korea. M41 Walker Bulldog. Successful light tank known for agility and a punchy gun. Crews loved how easy it was to drive. M47 and M48 Patton Series. The M47 was rushed into production during Cold War tensions. The M48 became iconic during Vietnam with its rounded turtle-like design. T-54, T-69, T-92, experimental tanks. Various experiments with oscillating turrets, autoloaders, and low profiles. Many ideas failed, but some influenced future designs. T-95 medium tank. High-tech testing ground for smoothbore guns and composite armor. Innovations here ended up in the Abrams decades later. M103. Heavy tank. The last American heavy tank. Designed to destroy Soviet tanks from long range with a massive 120mm cannon. T-57, T-58, T-110 heavy tanks. Experimental heavy tanks with oscillating turrets and rapid-fire systems. Technology was too complex to work reliably. Heavy tanks were dying. The future belonged to main battle tanks. Late Cold War in Vietnam, 1960 to 1991. M60 Patton Series. The Cold War Workhorse. America's first true main battle tank, serving for decades with countless upgrades. M551 Sheridan. Light aluminum tank that could fire shells and missiles. Air-droppable, but crews joked it was a soda can with a gun. MBT-70 and XM803. Sci-fi joint projects with Germany packed with futuristic tech. Too expensive and complex to actually build. M60A2 Starship. Futuristic M60 variant with a 152mm gun that fired shells and missiles. Complex system proved unreliable. M1 Abrams Series, the game changer. Jet turbine engine, revolutionary armor, incredible speed. Redefined what tanks could do. Stingray light tank, private company design that found export success. Main battle tank firepower on a lighter chassis. M1A1 Abrams, major upgrade with the famous 120mm smoothbore gun, became a Gulf War icon for total battlefield dominance. The Gulf War proved the Abrams was the best tank on Earth. Modern era, 1992 to present. M1A2 Abrams, digital age upgrade with advanced sensors, thermal sights, and battlefield internet connectivity. NM8 armored gun system, meant to replace the Sheridan but became a victim of post-Cold War budget cuts. Abrams TTB, experiment with crew in the hull for safety and unmanned turret operated remotely. M1 Cat-to-B, test platform for a gigantic 140mm gun meant to stay ahead of future threats. XM1202 mounted combat system, part of future combat systems. Lightweight, highly networked smart tank that never happened. Griffin II, modern light tank combining Abrams firepower with lighter chassis. Foundation for the newest American tank. M10 Booker, the newest edition, entering service in 2023, provides heavy fire support for infantry, filling a capability gap that existed for decades. Abrams X, futuristic demonstrator with hybrid electric engine and unmanned turret. Lighter and more fuel efficient. M1E3, Abrams, the next major evolution. Focuses on weight reduction and improved protection against modern threats like drones and missiles. From a modified tractor in 1917 to the cutting-edge M1E3 today, American tanks evolved through a century of constant innovation. Each generation built on the last, creating the ultimate combination of speed, armor, and firepower. Want to see the same Cold War arms race in the skies? My Cold War jet fighters video is on your screen right now. Same era, same rivalry, different battlefield. Check it out. Hit subscribe for more. See you next time.